into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Knick fans! Welcome back to the Knick After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Talking about Season 1, Episode 7, Get the Rope. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me as always, Marisa Serafini is here.
Hello, everyone.
Oriana Leo is here.
Hello, everybody.
No guest this week. A little breather. We get a chance to just get to check in with each other.
And what an episode to be able to hang out and talk about this
God.
one.
Oh my goodness,
Chills.
this episode.
Yes. Incredibly intense. A real firecracker. But before we get started,
Matt Lieberman's been doing an amazing happy dance.
yeah, just because I'm just gonna gloat for a hot second. Who called it? Who
did.
called it? Yeah, ain't no friends no more. Okay, all it takes is one day to change a relationship fundamentally. Neely and Algie together. Holy crap.
Holy crap. And you're absolutely right. That was what I said was what a difference a day makes. I mean, this one day and all of these characters have pivoted, major pivots.
Yeah.
Completely.
And these two, whoa, they pivoted right into each other.
Yeah, but
Oh, damn.
the last few episodes, you can always see them, talking about their past and like a story that reminds them of their friendship that just slowly escalated to this point.
Slowly escalated to
Well,
stories without pants.
I was going to say the pantsless memory
Yeah.
about recalling seeing someone's behind was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, and he saw mine. Neil, I'm wrist deep in a patient. Come on, give me some time.
She was definitely, something was happening to her during that day.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, she was completely turned on by how Algie was.
Yeah.
Just doing all these things. I mean, that was sexy.
It was sexy, but also that he had built this whole clinic and that he delivered babies, that he was,
And he was threatened. And so she had those feelings of like, I would have protected you. Like, I think that's where everything comes to a head. I'm not just being impressed and turned on, but like, oh my God, what if something happened to him?
You think about the
Shows that she
lives.
really cares about him.
Yeah, and you think about the lives of these people. This is an incredibly dramatic, intense day that no one's going to forget. You are forever changed by a day like this, and we are witness to some of the shocking and horrific racism that was rampant in America in 1900, and we're going to get into all of it. We're going to take it step by step. This was like the most linear episode that we've ever had.
Yeah.
So I want to take it that way.
Okay.
So let's start at the very beginning. We have this flashback to back when Dr. Christensen was alive.
And rather optimistic as well.
Yeah.
He was jubilant.
Very, very jubilant. Also,
Good word.
the filming, the cinematography during the scene, it was very bright and happy as well.
Yeah, no, Clive Owen looked downright radiant. He like, it's so strange. Whenever they do like the young Thackery scenes, he's so like milky white pale. He looks almost like a ghost. Like the whites and blacks like stand out, are so like vibrant and pop when he's supposed to be younger. When he's older, you have more of this like tired, this flesh tone.
Yes.
But he looks like just too young. It's almost creepy.
Right. What I picked up from it was that it reminded me of the last surgical series we had with Birdie and Thack. And that here we had Thack giving the, that Previa case that didn't work out, but giving the
appendicitis,
pep talk, giving the pep talk, and Birdie's like, I don't know. And you see this exact thing, and you're like, okay, so this is a relationship that was super important to him, clearly, and he's kind of replicating it, but in the better way possible.
And it shows his character is coming full circle in a way, and that character growth, because he used to be the student, but now he's the teacher.
Yeah. We also get to see another thing that Dr. Christensen taught him, which is the use of cocaine to keep yourself, focused and into a surgery.
Get over your nerves.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, fun fact, just because I used to call on doctors in my previous life, doctors still do this, but they do it with beta blockers. It's not nearly as fun or exciting. All it does is it reduces your blood pressure and your heart rate, and you don't tremor. So if you have any adrenaline or anything, you are just cool as a cucumber.
Whoa.
They also use it before public speaking.
Damn.
But it's not nearly as fun as cocaine, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But also probably doesn't have the horrible withdrawal as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and cocaine was more accessible back in that time.
Yes, there was
true.
no beta blocker.
Yeah.
But just wanted to put it out
And
there.
another cool
Very
thing,
interesting.
another cool thing, having John Thackery be the person who was instrumental in the removal of appendices from the human body.
The Thackery point.
The
never
Thackery
misses.
never misses. I loved it.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, and that appendix when he pulled it out, it's like this like weird frog tongue. It was so skinny and long. I've never seen an appendix in the flesh.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But it's important.
I've had my
very-
gallbladder.
yeah.
The more you know. I've had that taken out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder if he's
It's an
responsible for that
expendable
too.
organ.
It's nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I love about historical fiction is where we're able to plug in our fictional characters into history and make
Right.
them responsible for various things that we take for granted. And this was just a fun scene in that regard. However, he's woken up from his dream into a waking nightmare as the owner and operator of the opium den that he frequents, who we've met before, I think he's choking. And so Thackeray, in his opium haze, grabs a knife, sterilizes it, heats it up, and then he stabs him in the neck and like shoves a straw in there so that he can breathe.
Emergency tracheotomy.
Emergency tracheotomy. And I love this moment when he talks to the woman. He's like, load up his bowl for the pain, and could you load up a fresh
Make
one
it
for
a
me as
double.
well? Yeah.
That was really good. I loved how even Thackeray in those situations he still can act and he knows what to do.
Yeah.
It shows just how great of a doctor he is. Even though he's so hyped up on drugs, it doesn't question his skill set.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the situation where you've just done enough drugs on purpose to render you immobile.
Yes.
And then you've been shocked awake, and you still perform this procedure with remarkable efficacy. It really does paint that picture of like this guy's a genius.
He is a genius.
Just talented.
Yeah. I wonder, now that we met Dr. William Halstead, just the way he was introduced, the way he was framed, so intimidatingly when we first meet him. I wonder if we're going to meet him again in modern times. I mean, Christensen is dead, but Halstead is still alive. And I have to wonder, now that he taught Columbia, how to approach teaching students surgery, maybe he's the one heading up Columbia's surgery program. Maybe, we're going to see more of him.
Now, I can't remember the name of the doctor that Thackeray is loosely based off of. I'll have to look it up, but we talked about it episode 1. I feel like Halstead is a throwback to him.
Interesting.
That he started the School of Medicine at, I don't remember which university, but he started a School of Medicine. He was responsible for medical teaching, and he was one of the first, prolific users of liquid cocaine. But it kind of seemed like a throwback, like a little throw out to him.
Definitely an homage.
I have to look it up.
Because these stories are based off of, inspired by real life stories. So I think it's interesting how they do that, and the self-awareness of everything that's going on. And it's really great that everything people had to go through. Maybe not exactly the way the story is portraying, but
Pretty
people
close.
did have to go through this. Yeah.
Yeah. So we come.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. John Thackeray, partially based on historical figure William Stewart Halstead.
He's
I
based
was
on
right.
Halstead.
He's there. It wasn't an homage. It's him.
Oh my God, that's insane.
I knew that. Yeah.
That name
Makes
just
sense.
stuck in your craw.
It did.
You knew it. All
It's very
right.
smart, though.
Before we continue, since we've got like a lot of intense plot to get through, and I don't want to interrupt it once we're in it, I just want to quickly talk about iTunes now. Folks, I say it every week, and only because it's the truth. We here at AfterBuzz TV are committed to bringing you the finest and most abundant podcast after show programming in the world, and I think we're doing a pretty damn good job of it, putting out over 80 hours of free podcast content a week across YouTube, across iTunes, across Stitcher. We put in a ton of work to make this happen. It's a huge, gargantuan effort, and everyone who works here works their butt off to make sure you get all the podcasts that you want on time every single day of the week. And the best way that you can support us, if you are so inclined, is to go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It's quick, it's easy, it's free, and it helps us attract our sponsors, which keep our doors open and our lights on. We need both of those things to be open and on. It also helps us get guests, and we had wonderful guests on this show,
yes.
and we intend to continue that trend. We're going to have some amazing guests. I don't want to give them away just yet, but we are working on them for the rest of the season. So, get those reviews in. It really helps us out, and you get a great shout out here on the show. It's been a while since I've read these aloud, so I'm going to do so right now. AfterBuzz rocks, 5 stars from Sunnydale99. Thoughts on the Knick AfterBuzz? This is one of the best AfterBuzz podcasts. I'm a TV addict, and I love listening to the podcast because I don't get to discuss TV shows the way I want, because there is not one person I know that watches as much TV as I do. I really enjoy the guests on the show and the intelligent conversation between the hosts Matt, Marisa, and Oriana. And more thoughts on the Knick. The Knick is such an awesome show. The acting is top-notch. The costume design is amazing. I love the set design. My favorite aspects of the show is just seeing how these characters work, learn, and exist in these worlds. My favorite characters are Algernon, Cornelia, and the nun, Sister Harriet. I guess, Sunnydale 99, you really liked this episode.
What an amazing review.
That's great.
Yeah. Love from Sarita Bita, 5 stars. I love the Knick. The history of the characters, I just can't get enough. Thank you for that. And it's great from Ren90. Love the show. 5 stars. Do you know how long it took to write that 5-word, 5-star review? I guarantee you under 30 seconds.
5 seconds.
It helped us a whole bunch. So, folks, if you're so inclined, go to iTunes and do the same. Thank you for your support. Okay, so Phineas Sears, who we met several episodes ago and we witnessed start his little side business, dirty side business, a couple episodes ago. He is watching this African-American woman on the street outside of this dance hall, which I'm trying to remember the name.
It's the Haymaker.
The Hayworth.
Haymaker.
Haymarket.
Haymarket,
the
Tenderloin
Haymarket Dance Hall, which was one of the most notorious dance halls in the Tenderloin district. I know because the thing before the Knick comes on told me so.
Yep.
And he goes up to her and he propositions her as if she's a prostitute, and he says, I have an offer. You can come work for Mr. Collier. And she's like, first of all, not a prostitute. Shame on you. I'm just waiting for someone. And this is the worst part of everything that happens is this guy is so thoroughly in the wrong, but because he is white and this other guy is black, everyone in this city is, hurting, lynching, killing black men just because this crooked cop died. And there's no justice whatsoever.
One rotten tomato. I mean, it's
a bunch of rotten tomatoes.
It's a whole lot.
I was very, very surprised how fast this escalated because so many people got involved right away, and that the fact that the white man was stabbed, not the black man.
Yeah.
To me, it's a situation that happens over and over again when we see poor people that are uneducated and often newly immigrated or emigrated that end up living in these ghettos. These kinds of things can happen. We're seeing this, not to get too serious, but I mean, you look at the Middle East, you look at people that are highly influenced by someone who wants to bring along a violent agenda because they're poor, they're hungry, they're angry.
They want someone to blame.
They want someone to blame. They want to get their anger out, right? They're so angry and they're underrepresented. So we see this, to see this in this historical context, it disturbed me. You saw, I could hardly watch. Because just to see women, I mean, it was completely, it was just a melee.
Yeah.
It was.
It was thoroughly brutal. And Steven Soderbergh, I mean, we could sing his praises all season long, and we do, for good reason. This episode was just brutal, and the shot selection was so very, very specific. There was not 1 ounce of wasted fat on this episode. The sequence, without getting too far ahead, where the mob rips off the door of the hospital is so jarring and really, really horrific to watch. I loved it.
I love the cinematography, especially in that shot, how it was upside down. The world has literally turned around. It was beautiful how they reflected.
And we were talking about on the way in here just how Soderbergh doesn't shoot the standard way for television, and he doesn't shoot all this coverage. And I love it because you get these single shots that tell you everything you need to know about the story. The audience isn't stupid. I feel like we get everything we need from every single shot, and it's just full of imagery and storytelling and everything. It's remarkable.
Yeah. So Phineas Sears is stabbed in the street, and he's rushed over to the Knick. Ironically, or not really ironically, but coincidentally, on the same day that Gallinger returns to the Knick for the first time since his child's death.
This poor guy.
Yeah, and it was the first time that he got to jump back in several episodes. I feel like it's been a while since we've really gotten to see this guy outside of this tragedy and just doing his job. And when he gets in there, first of all, he escorts Cornelia through the mob, but he's just like, am I having like a horrible nightmare right now? Because Thackery and Edwards are giggling together like a couple of school chums. He's singing the praises of this suction machine. I love that line where he's like, I'm building a second one.
Hope for my birthday.
Yeah, seriously. And the look, like that's one of the amazing things. Like Gallinger's performance in this episode was so wonderful. Just that look alone, that just aghast look, was so beautiful and told you everything that you needed to know.
I like this particular moment for Gallinger because this is the best episode to help Gallinger's character growth because he doesn't want to work with these black people. But this is the perfect opportunity for him to realize that, hey, we do have to coincide with each other and work and become the better man.
Yeah.
Because that's the separation between, he still has that white superiority complex. And this is the perfect opportunity where he can, work with everyone.
What I love about this scene is that it shows us the teeny tiny changes that are happening that end up happening at rocket speed later on in the day. But we see Nurse Elkins pats Thac's forehead, and then Dr. Edwards looks at her and is like, yeah, me too. And she hesitates for a second, but
and then goes for it.
She's a nurse.
Yeah.
She reports to every doctor at the hospital.
Again, and show don't tell. We didn't have a scene where Bertie took Gallinger's side and was like, hey man, things have changed since you were last year. No. Things have just changed in the time that he's been gone. And what I love about this is how quickly Thackery, and therefore, Bertie and everyone as an extension of Thackery, their opinion and their stance and their value of African Americans has changed dramatically.
What I love about this is that we've seen Dr. Thackery be kind of on the wrong side, if we will,
of history.
In today is what we know for today, but it's literally, we saw this with Cleary. He felt a certain way about abortion, and then he saw what was going on, and it impacted him so much that he made a change.
Yeah.
This exact same thing happens with Dr. Thackery, and it's remarkable, but it's also what we hope for, because I don't know if they had the Hippocratic Oath, if that was something they had to do, but he knows that it's his job to help people and to not hurt people and to not stand by and watch them get murdered.
Absolutely.
So to see him just stand up finally for justice.
Yeah, to run out of the hospital and be like, how can you just stand there? How can you just stand there and bring this man inside and treat him, even though it's against hospital policy? I was just cheering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, character growth for Thackery. And also, Thackery has had the moments where he had the realization, if we work together, we can improve and advance our technology and our medicine. But Gallinger hasn't had that.
Now that he has a vacuum, I think everything's changed.
Yeah.
Because, I think the whole world has probably opened up for Thack in that sense. That,
has.
This way of thinking is not going to serve me. If I change my thinking, I'm going to get to where I want to go in the history books.
Yeah.
And Thackeray had that opportunity. Gallinger has not. Maybe Gallinger in the future, not to get into prediction territory, but maybe Gallinger will be presented the opportunity to change his mentality.
I love how Bertie, when he takes Bertie aside and is like, what is going on, Bertie's dismissive of his thought process, where
he's like, and that ridiculous machine, how awesome is that?
Right?
Yeah, it saved me from all that cranking.
He doesn't buy into it. He doesn't buy into it at all, and you see Gallinger just standing there just alone.
Yeah.
For once, everyone's like, oh, yeah, we all agree. We punched the surgeon. Good job. Next time, kick him. But now, nobody feels that way.
No.
Sorry, bud.
And honestly, I feel like a decent chunk of time must have passed between last episode and this episode, because not only did Dr. Edwards' clinic still stand and stay open, Thackeray admits to stealing obstetric equipment and bringing it down there for him.
That's right.
So he's allowing him to continue to treat patients down there.
Right.
Even though he had originally said, wrap up what you currently have and then get rid of it.
There's something else I wanted to mention was that, Gallinger, when he tries to scrub in, and they're like, how is he here? And it's like, well, you weren't here.
Yeah.
And so he scrubbed in. But the idea is, if you're not there, you're missing all the action. If you're not on time, if you're like, this is serious. Things don't just, like, that superiority complex.
Well,
like,
he didn't want to be late. He's dealing with a crazy wife. I mean, not crazy is dismissive, but, you know, a wife who's still racked with grief and may still very well be caught up in denial that her child is even dead.
But he's not the kind of person that thinks that a surgery's going to wait for him. Surgery doesn't wait.
And also, he had to force himself onto that surgery.
Yeah.
He told
Birdie to get lost. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's situations like this where Gallinger has to step up if he wants to keep practicing his medicine.
Yeah. If he doesn't want to be irrelevant, he needs to get with the times and jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, Finney's family arrives after the surgery, and his mother is just like a horrible drunk.
Can I just say that I'm a little bit ashamed of my Irish heritage right now? I only got like maybe a quarter, maybe less, 20%. But being the child of Italian and Irish immigrants in Boston, and the way they talked about each other and the hatred they had for each other, watching this just really brought it to life. To see the drinking, to see the family all together, like, wow, this was really the way it was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really into those people.
There's a reason why alcohol got outlawed for so many years. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, they're drunk and their racism is just rampant
and violent
and just like we're gonna
crush
string
their eyes out
into jelly.
Come on.
Yeah, string them up in City Hall Park, and the cops are just as bad. Oh yeah, we're gonna get him. We're gonna string him up. And Cornelia's like, I don't think that's really helpful right now. And they don't care. They're just to Finney, big old drinks, and you know. Phineas, he's recovering, and they're in the recovery room, and Algie goes in to check on him, and she's just like, "Oh no, what are you doing? You can't touch him. You can't touch him. You could be the one who stabbed him." I feel like were words that were almost unbidden on her lips.
Yeah, it was very blatant, like how she blatantly just calls out Edwards, even though we know he's a position of power. But it just shows that how drunks, even in that time, had more power over women and the blacks. I mean, the immoral of everything is just terrible.
Yeah. And then he tells Nurse Elkins, okay, I want to change this man's dressing. And there's this moment where Andre Holland, he checks in with the mother, where he's saying, I want to change this dressing. Not, I need to change this dressing.
I'm going to.
Yeah. I would like to change this dressing. Can you get me these things? And then the cop stops Nurse Elkins. It's like, you're really going to take that from him? You really take orders from him? It's like, I take orders from all the doctors here at the Knick. And I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
You tell him. Unfortunately, however, Phineas takes a turn for the worst. And when Thackery comes in, the mother's like feeding him liquor.
I know, which
That's not
can't
gonna
have
help.
helped.
Can't have helped. And then
Internal bleeding immediately.
he dies within moments.
Literally, that had to take 10 seconds.
Yeah, in the span from when Nurse Elkins, he tells her to grab stuff, she goes and grabs it, she comes back. She didn't even really leave the room. She left the secluded part of the room. Awful. And then we just know what's going to happen.
And I just wanted to real briefly mention that Thackery says to Dr. Everett, who's the whole time is complaining, he just goes, not the time, Everett, is what he says to him.
Yep.
And I liked that because he wasn't saying, you're wrong, get over it, but it's like, not now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that they're pushing it off to a later episode in the sense of like what they haven't had a confrontation.
They haven't even really had a conversation since the second episode.
Right?
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
So that was my take on that.
Yeah.
But also showed there are bigger problems besides Gallinger that's going on right now.
And there are bigger problems than race right now.
Yeah.
At
Loss
least
of life.
Yeah. Thackeray is finally, even though we established back in the pilot that he wasn't necessarily, while he was dismissing Algie for his race, he said, I'm not hiring you just because you're black. I do not want to hire you because having you here makes my job more difficult.
Right. And now that it makes it easier.
Now he wants him, and now he values everybody because he sees the value of his fellow man. and that anybody could be responsible for the next great thing.
Right.
So why am I dismissing a whole group of people, a whole race of people, just because that's what I've been taught? Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Finney's mother basically says, like, you know, we should string them up, we should grind their eyes into jelly, you know.
She incites a riot.
She incites a riot, and they
Literally.
immediately, that's the horrifying thing, and I know I keep saying horrifying, but it's the truth, it's appalling, is they grab the first black man they find. This guy has nothing to do
I
with
believe
this.
he was riding a bicycle.
He was.
Nothing to do with this.
That's all.
They grab the first one they can find, just start kicking the hell out of him. And that's what's disgusting, is it's not about guilt. It's not about involvement. It's not about culpability. It's just like, I'm angry at a black man. You're black. You're paying for that.
Yeah.
That's
Just pure violence.
disgusting.
Yeah.
And
Indiscriminate.
And again, how fast it all started. That was literally seconds.
right. And then, you know, we start bringing in some black patients into the emergency room. And then we see some more black patients sneaking in through what I'll just call the Edwards entrance. And this boy sees them. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And this boy flat out lies
Yep.
to this woman and to the cops and says the man who killed Phineas is inside the hospital. So the mob and the cops start bashing in the doors, pulling them off, ripping the hospital apart.
Scary.
Yeah, terrifying.
What I love about this episode is the way we get to see everyone collaborate and work together.
Yes.
You know, we see Cleary helping, we see Harry helping with her crucifix. You know, we've got all kinds of amazing stuff, and you only have two people that are upset and insisting that this doesn't happen, and that's Barrow and Gallinger.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, right now you guys are just wrong.
Old world, new world.
Yeah. But also, we did see Barrows and Gallinger, they kind of did get off their high horse and were willing to work with each other to save everybody.
Well, because Dr. Thackery
they
said
had
so.
to.
Yeah.
They had to, but they did have, you know, they were willing to work with people.
Yeah.
Yes, they had reservations, but ultimately, you know, Barrow still did block in the door and help give them time to get everybody out.
He was too
Yeah.
worried about Junior.
Yeah, well, that was later, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But it's funny, and I know that these are such dramatically different shows, but there kind of comes a turning point in shows where you have these disparate characters who aren't on the same page or maybe aren't together necessarily, and then you have that first episode where they all band together and it's very, very linear.
Yes.
And they're working together towards a cause. Another show that did this summer is The Strain, which is a vastly different show because it's vampires and everything else. But, you know, we had all these characters who weren't on the same page, and then suddenly they come together, they're united, and they have to fight for their survival. And this felt a lot like that. And it's
Absolutely.
you know, these kinds of linear, action-oriented episodes can lead to amazing results, and this is one of those times. So they sneak everyone out of the emergency room into Dr. Edwards's, you know, little clinic, and of course, Gallinger and Barrow are just horrified. And
Well, by the time
I
they found
keep
out.
saying horrified, and I need to come up with some new adjectives. It's a real pain.
Terrible
They're
in the
definitely
Orlin
surprised,
sense.
but I'm glad
thanks.
that the circumstances were unfortunate. They had to find out like this.
I think it's funny. It probably is realistic as to how these kind of conflicts were addressed. But I love how every time something like this happens, it's, you can't be serious. This is preposterous. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're silly right now. Everyone else is acting and doing something, and you're just puffing up. And these are, in my opinion, Barrows and Gallinger, the most ineffective people that are full of hot air. They love to talk. They talk about how great everything is. We haven't actually seen a lot of
We haven't seen their
progress.
use.
No, their
No.
utility is negligible, at least at this point.
And of course, Neely is just overwhelmed with what he's been able to accomplish down there, that he delivered babies. She's thrilled. As somebody who is often underestimated and enjoys being useful and making a difference, this is huge for her.
This is her major moment.
You know, because this guy he's always been her friend, but she never had any idea of what he actually intended to do with all of his training and all of his ability, that he actually was helping lots of people even when society wouldn't let him.
Exactly, because, you know, Neely and Algernon, they come from the same mentality that they're always fighting society. They're always constantly doing things to improve themselves and be useful in this world. So to see Edwards do something as great as this, she's going to praise that.
Yeah.
And also, I think we were talking about it last episode of I was making the point that I thought they would just be just friends forever. But, you know, their worlds have been, they're very separate.
Yeah.
They might have come from a similar place, but we see Algie doesn't visit his parents. Like, he lives this whole other life where he is a surgeon, you know, traveling Europe, and then now he's here. No one knows what that's like. And so I think for Neely to get a peek into it, he's a hero. And she maybe saw him as a colleague or, you know, or someone on her level, but now he's raised up on a pedestal.
Yeah, I also think that what you were saying, Marisa, is very, very true, and kind of taking what both of you are saying. They come from two different worlds, but they share one mind, which is regardless of what society says I can do, I intend to do the most good that I can. And that's why they're so attracted to each other.
Right.
It's not just their past, but the fact that they both have the same goal, and they're both going to go to whatever lengths they can to achieve it.
And in today's society, they make a great pair.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, like, you two
Power
are
couple.
meant to be together.
Power
Exactly.
couple.
Totally.
Yeah.
Of course, back then, not
Not so much. It's
little
frowned
harder.
upon.
Yeah.
I have to say about that scene, I don't know, can we just talk about that scene right
Talk
now?
about it.
Well, so I was still doubtful. I'm like, you know, I don't know. They're getting a little cozy when she took her hair down.
Yeah,
I was
girl.
like, I knew it was going to happen. because-
Universal signal.
But back then, I mean, that hair is pinned in and it's up, and that never comes down. That comes down for your husband.
Yes, it
And so
does.
when she took it down, I was like, ooh, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. And it happened.
And then it happened, and it happened hardcore.
Yeah.
That it did.
That was
And
some
it's
serious
sexy
making
too, like
out.
on like on the operating table, like and in the surgical clinic he made.
Yeah, and it's not about, you know, ripping bodices or you know, taking off of pants or anything. Like they kiss, they embrace, and then they just kind of hold each other there on the table. Which, you know, speaks to a much deeper connection versus potentially the Elkins Thackery connection, which is also dramatic.
Hey,
we'll get into that too.
Different situation, okay?
Painless and
Very
perfect.
different situation. But after all of everything that went down, she just helped save his life as well. So it's a lot of, you're here in my eyes, I'm here in yours.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they're like, well, we need to get everyone out of here. There's no way that they're not going to find this place, which, of course, which is hysterical, right? You're looking for a black person. You're looking for, and in this time, where are the black people working? They're working down there.
Yeah.
And that's the one place that white people don't think to go because they never think to go there in the
Never
first
been
place.
there. They don't even know it exists. It's invisible.
Right.
They don't know the location.
Yeah.
100%. So, even though they don't need to, they get everybody out of the hospital. Cleary, who we haven't
Cleary is
even
a
mentioned.
horse.
Yeah, Cleary is a mountain of a man, and he pulls that infirmary, that ambulance himself, selflessly. He tugs it the whole way because the police stole their horses. Which is just like, I love that moment where he's like, whose side are you on?
Yeah.
Yeah. That cop starts beating the hell out of him.
And just a side note, I thought it was weird. The cops, it's like their only job is to enforce law and order. It's much more about order in this day and age, right? Like, no one's following the law.
Well,
But I feel like this time, their mindset is that they're pursuing justice, which they are obviously not. But it has nothing to do with order, and that's their job.
what do you think
is it
about
because they're
that?
so corrupt?
What do you think, Marisa?
I think it's also maybe these cops back in that day still had that white supremacy.
They were all Irish.
Exactly.
It was their buddy.
And it also could have just been they were all caught up in the moment and just trying to control anybody and everybody who was acting up.
Well, I mean, you think about it nowadays. You have a cop killer. You know, cops get personal. You look
Yeah.
on any TV show or any movie.
Or real life.
Yeah,
They
or
just
in real life.
kill people.
Yeah, or you know, they'll do whatever it takes to find the person, and sometimes those lines get crossed.
Yeah.
Certainly not to the degree, perhaps, that it does here, but it's still very, very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cleary is pulling this ambulance filled with people. Meanwhile, we've got these stretchers and we're wheeling them across the city in broad daylight, and Dr. Edwards is hiding underneath one. And I love this scene where we're watching it from his perspective under the sheet, and then all of a sudden it stops, and they're being questioned. And Nurse Elkins for the win.
Yes.
Talking about leprosy patients.
Well, losing your testicles over leprosy.
You have to find them.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, okay, she does like the grotesque. Get it, girl. And then we keep going.
Yeah, and also that Nurse Elkins blacks don't affect her either. So she's in for the bigger picture, which is great.
Extra amazing considering that she comes from the South. Yeah. That's not me like digging against the South. It's just saying that, you know, attitudes down there were certainly slower
Especially
to
at the
change than they
time.
were up here.
I can't get over Harry and the crucifix.
Yeah.
And that but it was like
amazing.
they were like as if these hooligans are vampires.
Yeah.
She's holding the crucifix and they're staying on the other side of it as if the power of Christ is keeping
Compelling
them on
them.
the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is what motivates you guys?
Well, they're big Irish Catholics.
But it's just hilarious that they're going and murdering people, but then the second they see the crucifix, they behave.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, this is justice, but that is going to hell.
Such a great shot, and so smart of Harriet to do that.
100%. Well, what other options did she have?
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
But she exercised that authority that she knew she had of, you know, you're going to go to hell and trust me if I have anything to do with it, and I do.
Yeah.
You know, and they
back
believe
off,
it.
yeah.
How dare you attack a nun?
Yeah. So they bring all these patients to a Negro infirmary where we run into Dr. Moses, who is familiar with algae because they both went to Harvard together. He was the one in their year, and I was the one in mine. You know, and of course, when you're at Harvard and there's only one African American doctor per year, you're gonna know him. You're gonna cross paths probably. You might spot each other.
You could be friends.
Yeah. And I love how Thack is just like, hey man, you know, I'm sorry. I know you're overrun. We brought you more patients, but we're here to help. You're welcome to any of our supplies. And there's this lingering moment where he's like, yeah, we're out of this, and cocaine. And Thack just kind of like hovers there. Okay, yeah, and just kind of keeps going. But I'm sure he's definitely a little perturbed. Like, I am running low. I could really use more. All right, you're running out. You don't have any more? Super. Okay, let's fix some patients.
But I loved how they literally moved everyone to a black-dominated community to have literally walking in other people's shoes and being where they're at. I think it was great in character development.
Absolutely.
It's not a decision. It's not a choice that he would have made episodes ago.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. And so we then kind of like smash cut to poor Nurse Elkins holding this arm as Thackery saws it off. And he's like, you know, do you want to take a break? And we focus on her and she's like, nope, no, keep going.
I can like to say that was a very realistic looking arm.
Yeah.
I mean, it got me for a second.
Yeah, I thought we were back to sawing pigs open, and then nope, that's a hand. Okay,
Yes. Okay.
It's a whole arm.
that's a whole arm, and it's just madness over there. And then we overhear. This is just another one of those great shots. We overhear across the room Edwards and Moses talking about this other patient, but they don't have any anesthetic. And we're on we move to Thackery, and he makes a decision. He's like, Edwards, and he throws him a bottle of cocaine.
Risky, by the way.
Yeah.
What if you didn't catch it?
What if he didn't catch
Yeah.
it? But
But giving up your own personal stash.
your own personal stash
To
for
help
this
these
guy
people.
who you hated.
Yep.
Yeah, that's big news. They're
Huge.
in serious bro situation.
Yeah,
then.
that was the.
Yeah.
Huge step.
They're
that's
seriously
definitely-
best
they
chums.
Are bros. They are BFFFFs now.
Exactly. Like, he doesn't give up his cocaine for anybody.
No.
Except for his best buddy and his best girl. And meanwhile, alone at
Back
the
at the
Knick,
ranch.
back at the ranch, back at the Hall of Justice, Birdie is effectively the chief of surgery,
Yeah.
the interim chief of surgery while everyone else is out, and he is performing surgeries that he's never performed before.
With one assistant.
With one nurse
who can read.
who can read, but he's operating off of incomplete instructions. He has to refer to
Photographs.
these photographs, And
he's doing it, and he's calm, and I was so proud.
Yeah, like where we were just brimming like
Yes.
proud parents watching him, like, you go, boy.
And that Thack made that decision, to leave Birdie in charge, knowing that he could do it.
Birdie, not Gallinger.
Yeah.
Yes, Gallinger, who he sent to the nunnery, to the friary with Sister Harriet, where he would do the least damage.
Right. That was exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it made me so proud of Birdie too, of all the grief he's gotten from his dad. I was kind of like, take that, Bertrand.
Yeah,
Like,
take that, Bertram.
He was confident.
Yeah, he was really confident, and he took a well-deserved rest in the bed that Finney died in hours earlier, but still, well-deserved rest after a long, long day. And everybody starts to peel off from the infirmary, and Thack offers to take Nurse Elkins home. She's like, what about my bike? And he's like, well, if it wasn't already a victim. I love, again, there's lots of great moments where we hold on characters' faces this episode. We hold on her face, and she's like, well, if it's there, it's there. If not, it's probably already gone from the riot. And rather than be concerned, just slow smile creeps onto her face. He wants to take me home. I know what I want to do. And so she takes him back to her place, and he's like, well, this is me. Obviously, I can't really come in. She's like, you can come in if you want. I mean, the house mother is deaf, and my roommate isn't home. And he's like,
Bazinga.
She left the door open.
And then she's like, you can come inside if you want. Leaves the door open. He's like, and I love this
Best
sequence
shot
Yeah.
of the whole episode.
where she comes in, she turns on the lantern, and then he is just silhouette in the door. He closes the door, and then he emerges from the darkness, almost like a spirit.
And he's this illumination,
Yeah.
wow.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I love this in all one shot because it seems so long on screen. Just like a good 20, 30 seconds. That's a long amount of time for it to just build up to that moment.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then she asks him, she's like, I need help to get this off. Which, like, girl, you take that off and you put it on every single day.
She doesn't have handmaidens to help her with this one.
Right.
Nope.
And after he takes off a few buttons, she asks him, will it hurt? And he says, I will make it painless and perfect.
That's your favorite quote of all
It's
time
my
right
favorite
now.
quote of all time. Because, I mean, granted, I imagine that he did doing what he did to what he did while he did that thing that he did. But I have to imagine that that's a line that has been used so many times, or at least will be now, among the young intellectuals who are taking virginities out there. I'm a horrible person. It's fine.
Well, he's so experienced and she's so inexperienced. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's great.
Yes. And so, they have this very tender sex, but I guess he pours liquid cocaine.
I think it was cocaine lube.
Yeah, he poured cocaine either on him or on her, but in any case, painless and perfect. And we see her reflecting on it. I love the way that this was presented. We didn't need to necessarily see it.
Totally agree.
But instead, we see her reflecting on it, and at first, it's kind of like, I'm wondering, like, oh man, does she regret it?
Right.
But then it slowly builds into a smile.
And just like Marisa said, Steven Soderbergh is amazing. Took his time. This long shot, having it not be a gratuitous sex scene, having it be this flashback that we get to see through her, and to the buildup of, I was like, couldn't wait. I was waiting for the smile.
Yeah.
If there's no smile, this has all gone wrong.
Exactly.
And then the little tiny smile comes.
And then her roommate comes in and is
glowing.
like, what? And she's like, I can't even. Yeah.
She was glowing.
Lovely. And
Yeah.
what I love most about it is it empowers her to be reflecting on this sex and have it be something that she chose to do. She made this decision,
Right.
and she is happy with it. And we
Right.
are experiencing it through her eyes, through her memory, as somebody who made a decision to have sex with someone that they're attracted to, and that it doesn't have to be something through any kind of male gaze.
Right.
It's very firmly about her experience and how she remembers it from her perspective, watching her face, and I just thought it was lovely.
It was lovely. I can't think of a better word.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and also just juxtaposed with the shots of cocaine in the aftermath of all that. And she's also questioning just the drug habits.
Yeah.
And even it seems like she's okay with that as well.
Well,
Yeah.
my feeling was that maybe she was she felt some shame there. You know,
Yeah.
she's really,
she's definitely
she's
questioning
looking at the broken bottle. You know, she's having these feelings of, you know, what have I done and what did I do and how does this, you know, but ultimately, that warm smile, giggle comes and you're just like, oh, it was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Sweet.
She's okay with it.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else we want to discuss before we head into predictions? Do we feel like we've accurately covered the Algie Neely kiss? I feel like we pretty much got it.
I think it was more than a kiss. Don't you think?
Well, I don't know. In those times, she is a woman from high
does
class,
what she
from an old
wants.
family. I know.
she does.
Yeah,
Neely
she
does what
does.
she wants.
I get that. But at the same time, she is also engaged. The situation is different.
Yeah.
So let's get into that in predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Okay, so how far do we think this romance is going to go before somebody finds out about it? Do you think that they
Which
slept
romance?
together? The Algie Neely romance. Because, like, Thack Elkins will have some blowback, namely in the form of Birdie having his heart broken. But, like, Algie and Neely has serious consequences.
Yeah.
Like, he was only at this hospital because her father fought for him to be there. He's not going to forgive this.
So I was going to say, what I think is that there's going to be some really hard decisions that now that this, you know, this has been uncovered and they have now merged into one for this evening or for this moment, Algie isn't going to want to give up being a doctor. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be what the consequence is. It's not about love.
Yeah.
It's about the practicality of the society they live in.
I feel like you move out of America, move to Canada, move back to Europe.
I think that's the only real option. If they say yes, they have to leave, and because she's
Under
gonna,
cover of darkness.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Because think about her family, her father, the money, the power, this horrible father-in-law that has all kinds of. There's so much at stake.
Yeah.
And she's really just a pawn in their plans. And the thing is, she knows it on some level. And
On every level.
But that may be all she needs to know to leave. I'm not predicting either way, though.
No, I think she is going to leave Philip, correct? But I think her father's going to find out. The horrible father-in-law is going to find out. Things are going to get worse before it gets better. Again, like you said, Edwards is going to choose medicine over
any kind of
I
love.
think so.
over
That's his
her.
first love.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
his first life. But she's going to there's going to be, we see this relationship finally get together, but now it's going to fall apart.
Ooh, chills. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We saw the promo.
We saw the
right?
preview
We
for
saw the
next week.
preview.
So those of you who consider that spoilers, maybe it's time to skip town.
Yeah.
But it looks like next week we run out of cocaine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Bad
Good.
situation.
Good.
Well, just because he needs it. This is a
He needs
serious
it to function.
withdrawal situation, and we know that he can't. We know he can do an emergency tracheotomy on drugs. And
He's
in a,
sweating profusely.
yeah, this is
He looks like crap.
this is not going to be good.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
They're going to find out about his drug problem. And I think Gallinger may not be fired, but Birdie's going to be the one promoted.
Ooh. Well, so here's what's
What, you
interesting
think
about
Dr. Edwards is going to be the chief of surgery?
Well, maybe not take over Edward's position, but I don't know what's going to happen in Gallinger, but
Birdie's
going to become
He's going to
higher
step
power.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to promote him in
But
some
also
way.
the thing about the drug problem is that wasn't really a problem. Like, it might have been seen as you have a character flaw, but they didn't know about addiction then. They knew, you had alcoholics, you had all these people, but we didn't know there was an actual...
Right. It was more like you're using too much of it. You should
Yes,
cut
you
back.
should cut back.
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't want to be like one of those people.
Right, as a character flaw more than a
Yes,
medical issue.
Exactly.
Well, in any case, I'm very much looking forward to the remaining episodes of this season. Very, very excited. If this episode is any indication, we're going to get some crackerjack episodes between here and the end of the season. Only 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
What, do you want to say something?
No.
Okay. Marisa
I'm just
Serafini.
excited.
Marisa Serafini, where can the people find you?
Everyone can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
Okay, and Oriana Leo.
Find me on Twitter at Miss Oriana Leo or Instagram at Oriana Leo. And please check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ watch The Oriana Leo. I will have new episodes of Running Errands in Hollywood coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube, as well as on my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman. Here doing a bunch of great stuff. The Strain finale this week, Sleepy Hollow, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Sons of Anarchy, lots of great stuff.
Oh, can I plug something?
Yeah, go ahead.
American Horror Story starts in 2 weeks. Please tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast. Thank you all so much. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.